Hi, this is Ed, Need a Haircut Bloomdahl, coming to you another video. This is number 14, and it does have a primary argument that it's trying to make, which will be towards the end, but I just also wanted to talk about some other issues today, currently. I think today's August 30th, 2020, and what I see is not a good direction to follow. And I have, if you've looked at any of my other videos, which the science community within the United States doesn't want anyone to do for some reason, but if you looked at my other 13, basically they talk about pretty basic physics. You know, everything from basic Newton up towards Einstein and somewhat beyond. And it takes a different look at these varying aspects and what people currently think, and I see an awful lot of problems with them. And I spell it out here. It seems that the U.S. science community has sort of blocked me no matter what I did, so I started to make some videos, and it's actually kind of fun. So we will proceed on that. Like I said, there is a point to it. I have spent the last half hour, it's sunny out today, and that's nice, but I've had a hard time trying to get the whiteboard to not gleam back into the camera lens, and there's always too much light. So I will read everything just to be sure that you have what I'm talking about, with the proviso that if you don't see something, it's not because it's not there, it's just that the glare of the light might have blotted it out so you can't see it. Okay. The title of this video is actually Viewpoints on Science, and it does in fact what I'm talking about, take different viewpoints on science currently today and just talk about them a little bit. So that's the first part, but like I said, it does have, how would you say it, there is a punchline at the end, right? So if you can hang on, that would be great. You know, something else that I came about, just sort of having a little bit of fun, is, you know, well, in light of Donald Trump calling himself, or I should say the president calling himself a stable genius, right? No one's going to call him that, so he might as well call himself that. And, you know, a group of people can call themselves the chosen people, then I can be, myself, the chosen scientist. And I have done it in that light. That's how I, you know, perceive myself for this video. I am the chosen scientist. And bringing out my, ooh, where is it, handy dandy laser. If you look over here, you will see MSTA. It sort of goes in line with MAGA, but it's slightly different, right? Make science truthful again, right? Make science truthful again. That's the road we need to go back. And whether we go into reverse a little bit and forward, or whether we just sort of crunch through and go forward, science has to become truthful again, and not the narrative hijacked or usurped for a single group. Okay, so that takes care of the preliminaries. Then, as with my other videos, if I haven't said them on screen, I at least put them on the with the message and title on YouTube, and I think I said it for each one, and this is true. As with all my other videos and papers, all ideas and conclusions presented in this video are mine and mine alone. I neither sought nor received any assistance from anyone at any time. No one does the work I do because no one thinks I do. That's not hubris, it's just fact. I see everybody kind of like moving in one direction, whether it's right or not, and I just look for what? Scientific truth. What is the best scientific truth that I can come up with? That's it. All right, so before I sort of get into the good stuff, I wrote a, well, actually I should say I did a, let me see if I can find it. Collisions, where is it? Where is it? Blah, 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 blah. I did a video, oh, the true story of the photon. The true story of the photon. And in that video, what I said was, if there is a large mass with a gravitational field, and we're in classical mechanics, Newton space, whatever you want to call it, flat space, you know, before Einstein, and light, they knew, Newton, maybe others knew, that light was bending, right, deflecting within that gravitational field. The only way that could happen is if light photons had mass, right? Because if that's not true, then it breaches Newton's third law of motion, equal and opposite. So if light is bending within a gravitational field and it's massless, you'll never see, well, it wouldn't bend, that's the problem. The only way that that could bend is if it has mass, which would then agree with Newton's third law of motion of equal and opposite, right? That's it. Photons have mass, okay? Photons have mass, and you can't turn it off and turn it on, right? It has mass all the time. And I think I even went through and worked out all the masses for the basic colors. If not that one, another one. I know I did it in one of the videos. All right. So a photon has to have mass. And what I see here, well, you don't even have to get that complicated about it, right? If you have light coming through, and we know that it refracts, the only reason it would refract is if it had mass. Without mass, it's not going to refract. Without mass, it's just going to go in a straight line through. If a neutrino can go through, then certainly any massless particle would just shoot right through, right? And you'd never see the refraction. But since we see it, the only way that could happen is photons have mass, and that's why they refract, right? So there's sort of like the refraction of the light, and there's sort of the what the massless path would be, right? Photons have mass. Same thing with a prism, right? If photons didn't have mass, they would not be bending, right? The white light goes in, slightly bends, comes out through the prism, and it disperses in its different colors. The only reason, if that were not true, you would never see the rainbow of colors coming out from a prism, right? Why is that? Because photons have mass, and they're going through a different medium, and they're bending, and they split out within the shape, you know, of the prism. So I did want to make that point, that photons have mass. They always have mass. Even in general theory, they have mass. Standard theory of particle physics, they have mass, right? They all have mass. That's it, period. The end of the story there. No mass? Yeah, no mass, no refraction. No mass, no refraction, and no dispersion. That's what would happen. So I wanted to clarify that. You don't have to do anything exotic in order to demonstrate that photons have mass. It's pretty simple. It's really simple. So they just don't want them to have mass in certain theories, but that's not science. That's, you know, again, it's not science, it's the kind of stretching the truth or bending the truth, you know, so it fits their theories, but the theories are based on massless particles, like particle theory, right? Massless photons, I should say, right? Not true. They have to go back and do it all over again. Okay, where are we now? Okay, viewpoints on science. Before the Big Bang, right? Nobody knows what went on before the Big Bang. There's a lot of ideas that have been floating around, and you know, I'm going to go through a few of what might be here, but really nobody knows where why that explosion happened or expansion happened, even though we see, you know, collisions, expansions, explosions like supernovae, right? When they're exploding, really, right? So we know that, I mean, it does happen in space, right? And I'll get to that later. If you look at all the explosions that are happening on Earth, in space, wherever, what do you notice? Space is there. Before the explosion happens, space is there, right? Space, no matter if it's a hand grenade, a firecracker, a firework, or a supernova, space is present. So I'll get back onto that a little bit. But anyway, the multi-universe situation. I call it the bubble wrap model, right? So there's multiple universes. But let's take it back for a second, and if you say, well, you know, the universe is infinite. Well, if the universe is infinite, I mean, just follow along with what I'm trying to say here. What I say, no one knows, not even me. That's true. I don't know, at least in that. Nobody really knows. So, but if you had an infinite universe, it would make no sense really to have multiple universes, because infinity times infinity is infinity, and infinity plus infinity is infinity. So why have, you know, infinite amount when you just need one? So, I mean, I always found a sort of a problem with that. The singularity model, right? Singularity, Venus on a half shell. It's actually a work by Botticelli in I think the 17th century, and it was actually called The Birth of Venus, if you probably know it. But what happens is she's arriving coming to shore on a shell, and so she has been sort of ridiculed as you know, Venus on the half shell. So anyway, it's there. But this, you know, singularity, why I said that, it's kind of like the oyster model, right? A little piece of sand, what did I call it to? The cosmic seed, you know, within something, like a piece of, like sand is in the oyster, right? And then it rubs up against the mother of pearl, and it keeps rubbing up and getting larger and larger and rubbing up and getting larger and larger, and then it comes out to be, at some point, comes out to be a pearl.